Faith to start to step up and find opportunities, find openings. The same thing as well for Taco. I do think this is a relatively squishy comp. I mean, it's a little hard to gank a Rise. It's a little hard to counter jungle a Hecarim unless he does it to himself, but you can get the drop on a Gangplank. You can get the drop on a squishy bot lane like a Felios Renata. So if Deep Cross aren't careful, they could find themselves getting snowballed on. But we're going to find out as we get onto Summoner's Rift for our first game of Week 5 here in the PCS Spring Split. Impunity hunting for a win that would be a big statement for them here as they vie for a playoff position. Deep Cross already has that locked up, looking to extend their dominance over the league.
Currently still have a 2-game cushion over Hurricane Gaming, but that's just not enough when you're thinking about the number of games that we play every week here and going into Week 5. So taking a look at the runes here, we have a very defensive bottom side of the map. I think it's because Blaze is running with that Tom Kench, so he's just going for a little bit more sustain right here. And we do have to mention the amount of globals that could be going his way. Both the Cannon Barrage and the Realm Warp could be showing up. So Blaze trying to play this super defensive. In the meantime, we have Taco and Faith, going for the usual kind of kill combo here. And, the composition I do want to mention about is DCG's here. We talked about counter engage. I think this is absolutely perfect for them. We've talked a lot about the Renata, but also the Gangplank will accomplish the same thing. If you're trying to chase in with Blaze, you're going to have to walk through Cannon Barrage. That's proven very difficult to do. So I just feel like DCG's composition gives them a lot more opportunities to decide where they want to engage and also decide when they don't want to fight.
Yeah, and that's a huge advantage if you're a team like DCG where, if there is one weakness we have seen, it is teams that are superior at team fighting, finding ways to pick them apart. Now, we will get into the lane. Leaky actually taking a very far forward position here to deal with Quiet. So, aggressive posture to kick things off here. He's got a lot of sustain, though. Grasp of the Undying. Certainly going to help him in this lane, even if he gets poked out by the Boomerang. Do want to check in with the bot, because we've already got Blaze under fire here by Criscata and Woody. Very pokey bottom lane. But now, Turnabout's fair play. Look at that. They actually burn both the heal and Pinway's ignites, and that might force Criscata out of lane soon.
Yeah, I feel like that was actually Criscata going way too deep on the trade. They had a superior level 1 trade. Loyalty program goes out, you get a huge shield, so it's very strong to just trade in that at that moment. But they definitely went a little bit too deep.
Speaking of going too deep, Pinway steps a little far forward on that level 2. Doesn't have gray health yet, and Blaze is still level 1. There we go, ticks over. This is a very scrappy 2v2.
And that's why, Tom Kench is a matchup where Renata can feel relatively comfortable. Renata herself doesn't have engage, doesn't have movement speed, but she can get away from that W.
Ooh, speaking of movement speed, Taco running in as Faith had already stopped up Nest. He forces the flash out. That's a really good start for Impunity on this mid lane.
Yeah, that's where they want to snowball and spend most of their time on the map for sure. I still feel like this bottom lane, if played out usually, will not result in a Impunity win. It's so difficult to go up against the poke here coming in from Woody, and we have seen a lot of times just the handshake dealing massive damage to AD carries. It's actually very difficult to avoid it. It's a very long cooldown, but there's a lot of damage on it. If you can get it to hit another champion, you also deal the original damage to the secondary target. So it's just a situation where you're gonna have to see Pingwei and Blaze actually stay rather far apart, which kind of funnily enough is not what Tom Kench wants to do.
No, he gets yoinked in, forced to flash away here. Woody and Criscata just peppering them with poke as DCG are taking over on 2 lanes here. This is kind of a bit of a bulge on the map right now as you see both top lane, bot lane shoving in here. And Blaze! Oh, he's out of there, flashing forward. They're going to claim 2, and the teleport comes back. This is an absolute disaster as both kills go to Criscata and Faith. He's going to try to get something out of it. He finds Woody on the chains. Should be enough to claim a kill. So, oh no! Oh, he's going to burn away anyways. Couldn't stay alive for too much longer. That's going to be the turret getting Criscata. You got to be pretty happy if you're DCG, though. You get out without losing a whole lot.
Yeah, and the kill distribution is perfect here as well. You see Criscata getting double kills already. He's got the Noon Quiver, and that just means that he can shove the wave even faster with the extra damage to minions. So, as we have said, this bottom lane probably not going on so well. I feel like they kind of forgot Renata exists in the meta when going for the Tahm Kench. Usually Pingwei has just been a Rakan abuser where he tries to go with the composition, but I feel like the Tahm Kench was a takeaway pick, and when your takeaway pick gets counter, that means you're left with nothing. So this bottom lane is just, it's going to get really, really rough here. And I just feel like Impunity, what we're going to see is a lot of Pingwei just trying to roam across the map and at least allowing Faith to have free reign, just leaving his own lane.
You know, in Pingwei's defense, I feel like we haven't seen anywhere near a good Renata in the PCS, so...
That's true.
It might be a little forgettable for a while. We're starting to see the power of this champion. Let's take a look at this replay because, yeah, Blaze and Pingwei are sitting ducks here, and you see this coming a mile away.
Yeah, and they were definitely not on the same page. It felt like to me that Pingwei got the memos just, okay, we have to back out. But Blaze was like, I can't give these 2 waves away. If I give these 2 waves, I'm just about dead. So it seems like there was a little bit of miscommunication as what the team wanted to do. You saw the TP just coming a bit late. And Taco was in trouble.
He's going to be able to run out on the Hyrule path. Hits him with the flash wolves. But we're back on bot side. Blaze getting dove again. Criscata under fire, but with a little bit of assistance from Leaky, they clean up without losing him. 4-1. Oh, I've seen this horror show before when Criscata gets fed early. This is not looking good for Impunity.
Yeah, it's just what we said. When it rains, it definitely starts to pour, and Pingwei really needs to land some of those W's, you know? If he can't find a target with those abyssal voyages, it's just it gets really, really awkward. And this is why I was a little bit confused about the pick. I thought maybe that Impunity were going to try and go for a defensive teamfight setup with the Tahm Kench, but that wasn't the draft they ended up with either. So this Tahm Kench is looking super awkward in this composition and also in the laning phase.
Yeah, here we go again. So we're going to get to see the beginning of it. They actually do have a decent start, but unfortunately, Criscata just sidesteps a lot of what Blaze throws out. Doesn't have the Flame Chompers for defense any further. And, like, I don't really blame Pingwei for going back in because he's not going to be able to escape, but he couldn't quite get the kill because he burned Ignite earlier. It's a feels bad, man.
Yeah, and that's something we have to remember when you see a Renata in lane, is that your AD carry can trade super hard. If he gets a takedown, then he actually just doesn't die. He will get that reset back to 20% HP, and that's why you're seeing Criscata being willing to walk up that far forward and just face tank a trade, because the Renata exists.
Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons why this champion was going to be considered so broken on release, because if you paired it with a champion that would be able to just out-duel, out-trade a little bit, you get yourself a reset on the bailout, guaranteeing that you can stick around a little longer. But it's a massive lead. It does open up a lot of map control on this bot side, meaning that first dragon on the menu, pretty much for free here for Deep Cross between Hana and Nesty. They're going to be able to hold the line here, and Faith is going to have to do a lot of heavy lifting if he wants to try and save it. Oh, dear. The Realm Warp, they see this coming, but can they stop it? Abyssal Voyage, it doesn't matter. Blaze is left for dead. The 4-man dive, and they're just bullying Impunity's bot lane.
This is very sad to see here. I think Impunity, they do have to send Faith down. Once the next teleport is up, they have to at least get a shutdown here on Criscata. It's 500 gold. If they can manage that to go over to Faith, maybe they have a chance back in the game. But right now, it's getting very dire. I think what they have to do is use this Herald mid, make sure you get a roam from Faith, and just try to pick off Criscata when they're pushing too far forward.
Yeah, there's a lot of bleeding they're going to have to stop right now. It's a massive gold differential. A lot of it sitting down in that bottom lane, just between a 5-kill lead, not to mention CS. Taco waiting to try and get a gank off down in, or up at the top. Meanwhile, it's down in the bottom. Criscata rarely left on his own, but he might still be able to get a 1v2. Look at Blaze already going down on the last hit after the Moonlight Vigil. Pingwei limping away. Oh, dear.
That was pretty genius from DCG. You could tell that Woody was already on the other side of the map. He was perfectly okay leaving Criscata here by himself, and that was an absolute correct calculation. He was 2 levels above Pingwei, and he's perfectly willing to take the fight.
Yeah, that Abyssal Voyage ain't going nowhere. Straight back to Fountain, Onslaught of Shadows, maybe not even necessary, but they will take it, and yeah, in the words of Admiral Akbar, it's a trap! And they fell right into it. 6 kills for the Aphelios. He's going to hit 200-year status very quickly this game.
And that's when you don't see a downside of Aphelios. A lot of times Aphelios has been kind of second fiddle to Jinx because he really needs to be further ahead for his Infernum combo to feel impactful these days after so many nerfs. Right now, I think his Infernum could just burn the entire Impunity team to a crisp.
Yeah.
So
oh my God.
We are going to get that.
Sub 10-minute Gale Force. That's disgusting. Oof. All right, now they're going to go up to the top side. There is a Cannon Barrage cutting the rest of the wave down, so this is going to be the Herald pop. But Hana and Leaky are here. Taco's actually caught out, forced to flash away. Even the dive ends up going not the way Impunity wanted it to. And Nesty's here as well. Oh, man. Nothing is going right for Impunity in this early game.
Yeah, the bot lane hole is just way too big in these trades so far. And small correction there, that was just the Heart Seeker from Taco. So you can still have that flash to try and chain something up with Faith. Yeah. But it's looking definitely very dire. And I don't really agree with the Herald drop into the top lane. I feel like you have to get Faith out of lane at this point in order to do something on the map. If you look at the current lane allocation, they're so far pushed into their own side. There's absolutely no chance for Faith to come up here undetected. I just think that they need to get a Hail Mary play, say like, okay, we're willing to give up mid lane tower or like all of the plays on the mid lane tower in order to get a shutdown. That's the only path they have.
Yeah, and it's just gotten so out of hand so fast. We haven't really been able to track what's been going on with a couple of the other players on the Impunity side. Faith has had a relatively quiet game, burns TP to get back into mid, and DCG rotate their bot side to the top. They're going to get even more plates out here because this is one of those games where you just run away with it. With how important AD carries are, you can see how much confidence Chris Scott is playing with right now. 1v2 shoving in, and he's doing it without any answer. I dare say he's doing it with Impunity.
Good pun right there. If you look at the player gold, there's a good reason for that. He's 3,100 gold above Blaze. Actually make that a full mythic item. I'm sorry. Just when I was looking at that graph, the gold shot up even more, and he's just a full mythic item ahead.
Yeah, this is stonks. This is like full stonks right now for Criscata. Yeah, it's going to be a rough ride here for Impunity to get back into this game. We've talked about how this team has been, especially compared to their previous iteration, looked so much more together. This roster has been a lot better on the map as a whole. The problem is they've just been overwhelmed. I mean, this is like a full Zerg rush of a game, and Deep Cross have just not had the answer. Now Blaze trying to get some free farm. I mean, he's 2 levels down on Hana. He knows he's a dead man, spending that 8 PM just to go ahead and hit the emote because there's nothing he can do. Hana's quietly been amassing the kills as well.
Yeah, this is trying to claw back from like a 5 pull into 6 lane kind of build, just like super hard StarCraft early game cheese build. And I just feel like Impunity, it's kind of unfortunate to say they are in a huge hole, but they aren't playing risky enough to actually get out of it.
Yeah, that's the hard part right here. Pinway going to get cut through, and Faith does dish some damage off the Electrocute combo, but it's not enough. Now, will Taco be able to help find an answer? Hana taking a lot of damage. That is going to be the intercept of the rocket. Hana still stays alive. They're just so far behind now, it's going to be difficult to find an answer. But Faith needs to be the one getting a couple of picks where he can. It's just so hard to see where he's going to be able to do it. I kind of worry if he'd be able to solo Criscata at this point.
Well, I want to mention the silver lining of this game. It's that there are now 2 really fed members on the enemy team, and killing either one of them will cause Faith to at least get his mythic item.
Hey, gold bounty is worth something.
Yeah, exactly. It's still not there yet, even if he does find the kills. But you know, he has one more extra target where he could legitimately snowball himself off of.
So you're saying there's a chance, Clement, and there always is, right? It's early enough in the game. You know, the way the game has been changed, there is a lot of gold in not just kill bounties, also objective bounties. You can always get back into this one. And I think the key is for Impunity not to let their mental drop off, right? They're starting to pick up mythics. We do see Quiet going for the whole breaker build, so, you know, he's going to be sitting on side lanes. I think, honestly, you're not going to take a 5v5 anyways. I think this makes sense. The question is, can he outpush the Gangplank, who's been on a Triforce for a few minutes? I think that's going to be a hard one to answer.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. That's kind of the big question left in the bank is, you know, can he actually get any split pushing done? My gut probably tells me no, and it's very hard to split push when Hector is also fed. Yeah,
Also
that
true.
too.
Yeah, Blaze, I mean, it's a respect flash, right? You get hit with that Moonlight Vigil, you are dead. There's a 2-level advantage. Mythic's still not picked up for the Impunity bot laner, although we do note that Faith has got his. And Leaky's caught here, burns the flash, and he is going to be able to walk away. Also waited in orange, so it's K. But yeah, at least it buys you an opportunity to get your push on bot side. I think this is important here.
That was a really nice move here. Impunity with the vision, they know that there's, you know, the rise just isn't there yet, so they're willing to go into the bottom side jungle, set up a trap here. I'd be very surprised if Faith. Okay, like Faith knew that he was there, so it should be okay on the side here from Impunity. You know, just talking about comebacks, I feel like DCG had the biggest comeback of the PCS split against Beyond Gaming last time, so I think that match alone gives everyone in the PCS hope that even if you lose your inhibitor at 18 minutes, you can still come back and win a game.
Yeah, and you know, like, around the world we've seen some crazy comebacks, right? I mean, like, anyone who's watched G2 Misfits knows anything, literally anything, is possible in League of Legends. Now, Faith, unfortunately, is down, and Cascada gets a godlike kill at 16. Oh, they'll be hoping for a miracle on the side of Impunity, because Shelly comes charging with the squad, and they just do not let up for a moment.
I love how that ability is called Handshake when the victim literally does not have any choice in it.
Yeah, well, I mean, Rana Glass runs businesses very aggressively, you know, like the ultimate, like, gatekeep, gaslight girl boss. You gotta be careful dealing with Glass Industries, I think.
Yeah, she's definitely a proponent of the free market, just so free that you're also willing to use violence as well. That's kind of the difference from traditional liberalism, is that you can do really anything in the market.
I mean, we all watched Arcane. We know how that economy works.
It's a very interesting economy. I'm actually just surprised that anyone can stay alive in Zwan, given the amount of like industrial accidents that they have and the condition of the environment down there. It's a pretty nasty place to live.
No, for sure. It's you know, anyone who looks at the cyberpunk style and is like, yeah, that's for me. It's like, maybe you want to rethink that. Leaky, he is caught. Now, I don't know if there's any escape this time. Doesn't drop the cannon barrage. He knows he's dead. And that was a good opening there. That does feed the kill into Taco, who is one of those reset-dependent champions. Every little bit counts here, Clement. That's the second kill of the game. They've just doubled their kill score.
Yeah, I think most importantly is that they do stop the wave from crashing down in the bottom side. If you have a top side that's completely open, then it just does mean that the enemy team usually will play towards this bottom side, especially when Drake is still on the map. So, you know, getting a chance to shove that wave in does take a lot of pressure off of them, especially when the Drake is also coming up this closely. So, huge pick right there. They get the kill onto Taco and Faith combo, which is incredibly important. And now we have to see if they can actually utilize it in any meaningful way. DCG, though, this is just so smart. They're just sticking together. They're not going to give you any more chances to pick anyone, especially Chris.
And we know how good the counter engage is. And unfortunately, you can't stop that tower demolition. The other thing to keep in mind, too, is if this game keeps going on, you've got, you know, Mountain Soul to contend with. That's going to make it even harder to defend against this push. 18 minutes in. Oh, okay.
Oh,
Impunity. They're having trouble just getting through their own jungle. You got to be careful here. Quiet and Meganar already, so he's not going to get that pop-off surprise. But clearing the waves, they've been effective at it. It's just, unfortunately, they can't take any fights at the moment. They have to try to play from a defensive standpoint. Kraken Slayer is finally picked up for Blaze. So, you know, we're looking at the full Mythic sweeps outside of Pinway, of course, and it's an opportunity to get back into this game, but you've got to stop these towers from falling, and that is so hard to do right now with the way Deep Cross are playing.
Yeah, even with the prior push, they're not able to dislodge DCG. Oh, they find an opening on Cascada?
They do. Don't get enough damage, though, and maybe Hana's going to be the one to fall as Taco finds a little bit of damage here, but he's stepping a little too far forward. You can't let yourself get caught out of position. Faith, he's just looking around the side. Unfortunately, Pinway does get caught. Great help is on. Can he stay alive? And no, he cannot. But Nesty, even though he opens up on one, gets two down the Viego. It looked like for just a second they might be able to
they're going in.
But it's going to be the party portal into the backside. Oh, that is going to be Blaze splitting the uprights on the Super Mega Death Rocket, and it's Deep Cross Gaming deep into the base. They're playing with a lot of confidence here. They may have lost Woody, but they still have a 4-2 advantage. Looking to end this here. Faith, he's trying to go out in a blaze of glory, but Cascada is going to grant his request. Pinway comes back up. Blaze still hanging on. And that won't be the end of the game just yet, Clement. We will not have a record setter today.
Oh, yeah, I would have loved to see DCG be able to just spin that into a full win, but it's still very early on in the map right here, and I kind of thought that they would have just gone for the Mountain Drake, so I do expect Impunity to try and beeline and at least see if they can contest that, but it looks like they're just too far behind in the waves. That was a little bit of an over-aggressive mood in my mind from DCG, like they could have played just to the mountain win condition, but I guess they're not going to lose anything for it, so you might as well just go for both. And wait a minute, actually Impunity's rushing for Baron. We have to take a look at this fight first. It was relatively messy, if I'm being completely honest. Woody, dies first, and Hana misses everything, but they're just so far ahead that it doesn't really matter. As long as Cryscata gets the damage in, they're fine here. And yeah, Impunity, that was probably a little bit too tight.
Just a bit, but they do manage to bait Nesty. Unfortunately, they don't have the damage to take down the tank Rise, and the hostile takeover, you can run away from it for the most part. Pinway gets clipped on the end, but meanwhile, Leaky flashes over, takes out Faith on a 2-hit combo, and Impunity running for the hills. Oh no, Quiet, he's got absolutely nowhere to go, Clement. Just throw the boomerang out, stick a fork in him, because he is done.
It does seem like Impunity just committed suicide by Baron. There was no way they were going to take that objective with Blaze being in the base. I'm not really sure why they went for it. Like, if they beeline rush for Drake, I could understand that. It would give them a chance to prolong the game and prolong the Mountain Soul from going over. But I just feel like going for Baron was definitely a bridge too far.
Yeah, I agree. It's a little bit tough to see. I think they're trying to make a play, but clearly you can see that the team decision-making is just all over the place at the moment. They are going together, and I give them credit for that, but at the end of the day, you have to play almost perfectly to get back into this one, and Impunity clearly are not. So, with Baron in tow, Taco caught out a little bit, and he's looking to get run down, but manages to step just out of the danger zone of Hana. And DCG just own the map here as Impunity are looking for any opportunity to snipe a kill back, but Faith just doesn't have enough damage to do it. Not against this incredibly fed squad. There's gold bounties on just about everyone right now, but Deep Cross are going to make it very difficult to claim.
The most important thing for Impunity is to keep their dignity intact. We have to get a kill on Cryscata. Let's go.
Okay, stiff arm there. Blaze going to go down. No, he's not swallowed up by Pinway, but I think the Tom Kench will be. Finally followed through, and with that, the damage is done. And I don't think there's any coming back from this one. It may not be a record setter, but it's looking damn close as Deep Cross Gaming cements their dominance in the top of the bracket. 22.5-minute win over Impunity.